Hey y'all, and welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be looking at a chess game that I played recently, which ended up being one of the worst positions I've ever had, and I managed to do some very interesting stuff at the end. Either way, let's get into it. D4, my opponent goes E6, and I decide to play the move bishop to F4, which is what I normally play against when my opponent tries to go for a French defense, which is basically just saying, okay, I don't want you to play a French, and I don't want to do any of that. But then my opponent goes with the move F5, and this gets into a position that I don't really play very often because against the Dutch I do some very, very wacky stuff. And here, after the move F5, this simply transposes into a line in the Dutch after D4, F5, Bishop F4 is a move, then E6. See, this is the exact same line here, but the way we did it, he kind of tricked me. And already I'm in a little bit of predicament because I simply do not know the opening. So I'm already playing on my own by move 3. I simply play knight f3 pretty quickly. Pretty simple stuff. This move could be an issue at some point, so I'm trying to defend it. Also, developing a knight can never be bad. Knight to f6. I go e3 because this seemed natural. b6, c4, bishop to b7. And here I make a mistake that is only possible because of my non-existent knowledge of the opening. I end up playing the move knight to c3. And the reason why I play this is because it's very natural, right? I'm putting my knight into the center. I'm defending some key squares. It seems like it's a good move, right? Because, I mean, where else are you going to put the knight? You're going to put it on d2? Not really. I don't really see why you wouldn't want to defend this square. But unfortunately for me, since I don't know what is going on and I don't know exactly the plans of the position, this move is not correct. After the move bishop to b4, and his idea is simply that he's going to trade off the knight, and then I'm actually going to be in a little bit of a predicament because this dark sword bishop is actually the problem piece of the black position. Even though you think it's pretty good, trading off this bishop for this knight is extremely good for black since you perpetually gain control of the e4 square. And I didn't realize that when I played the move because I was simply playing on autopilot. I mean, knight c3 seemed very natural, so that's why I should have first played the move a3 here, and then I can go knight c3 later, and simply play a normal game of chess. Unfortunately, knight c3, bishop to b4, I kind of don't really understand what to do because I realize now, oh no, he's going to be getting e4, and I'm going to be in a little bit of an issue. I could have played rook to c1. I was thinking about it. I could have played queen to b3. I was thinking about that move too. Simply going to try and pick up the, trying to defend the knight so then when he takes, I can just recapture, not damage my pawn structure. But I end up deciding to play the move a3. And the point of this is, okay, I'm making sure he has a take. He has a take here. If he doesn't take, if he goes back, then this is just a huge issue for him. Bishop e7, already you can see the advantage skyrocket for me because now I have control of these squares and I'm doing all right. In fact, I can even, there's a lot of moves here that work for me. Probably just something very simple like bishop to d3 is perfectly fine, and I would be doing very well. Instead, of course, he takes the knight, and I recapture the pawn. You might say, okay, why would you do this? Now your pawns are doubled, and you don't want that. Well, kind of. Yes, kind of. But not really in this position. I thought that the point of this was that my opponent was one day maybe going to play like some sort of advance, maybe like some c5 and then some d5, and I was unsure after the move d5 here. If, for example, if I didn't take, if I played rook here, and then I thought maybe d5 here, and I wasn't too sure if this was correct. Of course, in this position, I didn't really see c5. This is kind of what I missed. I would have found it over the board if I actually got this position, but of course, I thought cd5, knight d5, I'm going to be losing the bishop, and I wasn't entirely happy with this position, so I didn't go for it, and instead a3, and I thought the doubling of the c-pawn might be good for me because maybe I can even push with c4, and then I have another pawn to control the d5 square, right? Either way, castles. I go bishop to d3, very natural move, and my opponent goes with the move d6, clearly showing what he's about to do. The point of d6, first and foremost, is that he's trying to stop me from playing c4, which is an idea of mine in the future. And another point of it is that he wants to control this square, which is very, very important for the black position. If he's able to get control of this square, I can never get a knight on the square, which is where the knight wants to be, 100%. And yeah, then I'm just not doing too well. Also, he has an idea of going knight to d7, rook to e8, and going with the move e5. And it's looking a little bit bad. And here you can already kind of sense the danger. I'm starting to sweat. The position is bad. The position is clearly bad, and I don't really have an easy plan to do stuff with. So eventually, I decide, okay, my opponent has a lot of pawns on dark squares. I have a lot of pawns on dark squares. My dark square bishop isn't attacking anything. I think I'm going to play bishop to g5, and I think I'm just going to say, okay, well, I'm going to trade off for the knight. If you play h6, I was probably just going to take on f6, probably queen takes, and then, I don't know, I was going to figure out something here, because, well, I thought it might have been an improvement to trade off the bishop. I'd probably just castle and brave it out, even though this is very bad after the move e5. Kind of dangerous. Got to play knight to d2, right? So bishop to g5, but my opponent, instead of allowing me to do this, instead just plays knight bd7, which is a very, very natural move, and for some reason it's something that I wasn't really too prepared for. I wasn't thinking about this move properly. I didn't really centralize in my head, okay, he's going to play knight bd7 and he's going to defend the knight, but when it's on the board, it's a very, very natural move. It's a very natural move. And I realize, okay, well, his threat is that he's gonna play h6. He's gonna go here. He's gonna go here, and then he's gonna do something very, very strong. He has all these pawns pushed in front of his king. Maybe he goes knight h5. He can win my bishop, or he's just going to play the move f5, which is going to like rip open my position and to give me a bit of a hard time. For example, we put that situation on the board. Say castles, h6 here, 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 knight to h5. This position is pretty bad for me. Even here, yeah, knight to h5 is fine. And then, like, this is actually a bit of a threat because you can put the king on the h8 square, bring a rook over here, and you can see how, like, the attack is pretty strong. And I was a little bit worried about this. But luckily for me, or unluckily for me, I guess, I didn't do this. And I did something really stupid instead. I thought for a while, and I played a bad move that in all honesty, I don't even know why I played this move. I played the move h4 after some thought. But this move doesn't make any sense. Doesn't even make any sense to me after I played it. h4 is just... the idea was that after h6, I was going to take on f6 because, of course, if I go here, there's e5. And, like, I get destroyed, right? So I can't do that. So I would have to take on f6. And then I thought, like, maybe I would get something here. I don't even know what I was really looking at here. Maybe this. Maybe I was looking at, like, rook h3. And I thought, okay, maybe I'm also stopping this move. I don't know. The pawns are equal, but, of course, this is a completely lost position for white. But... no, I genuinely just don't understand why I played this. Either way, h4 is on the board now, and after h6, instead of doing what I was going to say just then, like taking the knight, I played bishop f4. In fact, I don't even, it doesn't, no, e5 doesn't work right away. Oh, yeah, what am I talking about? No. My idea was that I would stop e5. Yeah, because e5, if takes, I just win the pawn. And I thought this was good, but I guess this was not correct because here, oh, even knight to g4. And computer says this is losing, completely losing. I mean, the line can go on for a little bit longer. Let's say bishop d4. c5. My bishop is trapped. Okay, so what if we go here? Bishop takes g2, rook g1, bishop to c6, and this is okay? Really? I guess my pawns are just way too weak. Huh. No, but I thought this was not the end of the world. I have some, like, attacking potential, like maybe I can play f3. Oh, I guess queen takes h4. Yeah, I'm always losing. But, yeah, I thought e5 was stopped there. Either way, he thought so too, and played the move queen to e7. trying to make e5 work now. And yeah, now it is a threat. Now it is a threat to fork me. Of course, the threat is if it takes here, 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 here. No, not there. Here, here, right? He's going to fork me, so I cannot allow that. So I have to move one of my pieces out of the way, and I eventually decide to play the move knight to d2 after some thought, simply saying, okay, well, now I'm defending this square, I'm moving my knight out of the way, my bishops are actually kind of where they want to be. Of course, not exactly. I'd rather them on like any other square, but, you know, I thought the knight was one of the issues, and I didn't really think that he could take on g7, because you're opening up lines to your king, and I'm immediately able to grab an extra pawn there. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm not doing too badly. Maybe I'm not doing too badly, but it's -3. But it's -3 here, and it's getting worse after every single move. My opponent plays e5. I decide after a decent bit of a think that I'm gonna play the bishop to h2. In fact, the best move here is just to lose the bishop. It's just to lose the bishop. Not something I would have done. Not something I would have done. I don't think I would be in the business of losing the bishop for no reason. So I decided not to play that move, and I instead played the move bishop to h2, which I thought made more sense. But now my opponent is actually able to take on the g2 square, because originally if he took on g2 here, this would be bad, because after rook to g1, bishop, let's say he goes back, I'm able to take on h6. I'm threatening the rook coming in and forking the king and the queen, and this is actually winning for white. So that's why you couldn't do it then. But now, after what we get in the game, my bishop is on h2, and he can take here, because after rook to g1 and the bishop moves back, says go to h3 square, I no longer have this bishop takes h6, and yeah, this is very, very bad. Other thing, I was a little bit concerned about this. I thought that this bishop was nearly trapped. It is nearly trapped, but it always works out for my opponent in the end, which is very, very annoying. I was trying to figure out some line like rook to g3. Bishop goes back and then like f3, but he always ends up going here. I can take here, but this is just not good. I don't really remember why. Let's put this on the board. Rook to g3, bishop g4, f3, bishop to h5, and I take the pawn on f5. Oh, right. I get butchered. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is death. I remember now. Yeah, instead of that, I decided not to do that. Past me actually knew a thing or two about chess, and I decided instead, okay, well, if I cannot play this move, rook to g3 and trap the bishop, I also calculated f3, but after it takes and he opens up the queen, this is also death, so I cannot do that. Point of f3 is, of course, to take the square away from the bishop, so then I can play rook to g3, but that would be death, so we're not going to do that. And so I decided, okay, well, if everything is death, then what am I going to do? I'm just going to put my queen onto a better square. I'm going to attack his pawn, and we're going to go queen to c2, which is the best move. I'm putting my queen up in an active position, and now he has to do some things. And if he blocks the center with the move e4, I thought maybe it could be good for me, since now he's not going to open up and like kill me, right? So I like being alive, so that seems pretty natural. Queen to c2. My opponent does, in fact, play e4, which I was very excited to see. But after bishop to e2, now you can kind of see what the issues are here. Issue number 1, my king is very weak. Castling on this side is very dangerous, since he has these open file already, and he's going to kind of kill me. If I keep my king in the center, like I'm going to do in the game, then he's going to rush down at me with these pawns, and it's also very, very scary, but it probably is my best choice. If I don't castle long, then this rook is going to be out of the game forever. One other thing, the knight is also out of the game pretty much forever. I can go knight f1 and knight up here, but it almost never works. I almost never have time to do that, because I'm just getting killed if my opponent knows what he's doing. And this queen is also out of the game. So I have 3 pieces out of the game. I have a weak king and a really terrible king side. So the position is losing. The position is losing, but I thought that maybe I had a chance. So I keep going. I end up thinking for a while, and my opponent plays rook a to e8, and I decide to play the move bishop to f4 here, simply because, well, I'm attacking the h6 pawn, Maybe he blunders it. It's my last chance. It's my last hope at this point. Of course, he's not going to do that. The point of moving the bishop out was to maybe get some defense on this pawn in the long term. He ends up going bishop to g4, and I spend a long time here just thinking about everything I wanted to do. I wanted to play knight to f1, get my knight into the game. I wanted to take and like play rook h1 and defend the pawn and like bring knight to f1 then, and then maybe I have something there. But no, it never works. It never works. If I go knight to f1 now, there's knight to h5, and the position is basically losing because queen to h4 is a knockout punch. And if I take on g4, f takes g4, you're attacking this. If I take this, this is just awful. This is just terrible for me. I'm not up a pawn, and yeah, after rook g3, my opponent gets knight h5, wins this, so I would have to go back again. And if we're really just looking at the position just arbitrarily, you can see that my opponent has 11 points of... that is not 11, that's 14 points of material barreling down at my king, and I still cannot castle long. If I castle long here, again, I lose. This open file is way too much. My king has to be trapped in the center. So I decided not to play a knight of 1, and I just decided after like a minute and a half think, I think this is where I thought for a minute and a half, I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. Just gonna take the bishop. Just gonna take the bishop. Yeah, it was 2 minutes and 10 seconds. 2 minutes and 10 seconds of think. Bishop takes g4. And of course, after knight takes g4, he opens up an attack over here on my pawn. And now I decide, okay, I'm down on time. I'm down basically 4 minutes. I shouldn't have thought that long. The only way that I'm going to be able to save this game is on the clock. So we're going to play a lot faster. Rook h1, 1 second, very quick move, just defending the pawn. It's not that bad. I thought g5 here was a very interesting idea, opening this up, bishop to g3 and then f4. Thought this was actually pretty strong. He decides not to go for it, which I'm very happy he didn't, and goes knight d to f6. After a little bit, I decide, okay, well, what's the pieces that I haven't brought in the game? I want this rook in the game. I want this knight in the game. We're going to go king to e2. We're going to bring this rook in the game over here. We're going to try and make some counterplay over at his king because there is nothing else that I can do here. Knight h5. And in my playing very quickly, I make a massive mistake. I played bishop to h2, and the advantage jumps from the -4, which is arguably terrible, to -7.5, and at higher depths it's -8. This is really bad because he can take the pawn. And the point was, okay, well, I thought originally if he took the pawn I would have some discovered attack, like taking here and I'll attack the queen. But of course, if I do that now, the queen takes f2, and I lose. So that's never going to work. So what else are we going to do? What else are we going to do? Maybe bishop to g3, opening up an attack on the queen, attack on the knight behind it after queen here. I'm not too sure. Maybe I have something. Maybe I have bishop here, right? And then like the queen has to go back. But that doesn't work either because after bishop to g3, knight takes here is a check on the white king. And I would be losing again. So after bishop to h2, I realize I'm blundered. I realized I messed up, and queen takes h4 would be a winning move, but he doesn't play it and instead goes for the second best option with the move f4, which is very strong. Admittedly, it's a very strong move, and I have to do something immediate. I cannot take this pawn. Taking this pawn, death, death, death. Come on, death. We're not doing this. This is clearly death. I like being alive, like I mentioned earlier. So we're gonna not do that. We're gonna simply keep calm, keep our nerves, and play the move rook a to g1. And the point was, if he takes this pawn, I'm going to take on g4. And if he takes the knight, I will take here. I'm gonna be down a pawn, but I have some counterplay on his king. And this is probably my best chance of making a draw or even like surviving, right? So rook a to g1 is a nice move, but now my opponent spots what he missed on the last move. Queen takes h4 on the board, and I am officially lost. -8. -8. But for some reason, I have a little bit of hope. I have a little bit of hope here. And I think down a decent bit of time, and I realize, okay, I have a way to run away from the checks There's no immediate checkmate. Maybe I have a chance of saving this game. And so, of course, I play the only move. Knight takes e4. Defending the pawn. After f takes e4, I thought I was going to probably play the move f3. Of course, my rook is trapped, but this is kind of what I have to do. I can't take here because death, right? Either way, actually, death even quicker with e takes f2. But, yeah, so I wasn't really expecting that move, though. And I was expecting him to get really aggressive, and I was expecting him to sack the rook. This is what I was expecting. I thought this was probably what he was going to do. This is a pretty normal move. Sacking the rook, taking the defender out of the pawn, and he probably thinks that he's going to mate because he probably is. And so my opponent thinks down and does it. He sacks the rook, but he takes a minute. He takes a minute to do it. And now I'm only down a minute because I've been playing very fast. So queen takes e4. Probably knight takes f2 here is the best move in my opinion. Stockfish says that queen takes f2 is the best move, but I think that knight takes f2 is the best move from a human standpoint, because at the end of the day, at the very least, after like queen to f3, you will be getting up an exchange. No matter what, you will be getting up an exchange, and probably more, right? Sorry. Wait, what? Queen takes... Oh, that's smart. Okay. Queen takes f8 because after king takes... Bishop takes here, I win the queen. Very smart. I didn't really see that during the game, but I thought this was probably his best option, because at the end of the day, you are up an exchange, and you're up 2 pawns, which is more than enough to win if I'm able to get it down to an endgame. Instead, my opponent goes for the glory. Queen takes f2. I play the only move, king to d3. If I go king to d1, I thought this was just over after knight takes e3, king to c1. I didn't see anything. I thought this was just GG's. Oh my god, there's so many ways for me to survive here. Queen to a2 is a move. Yeah, like there's a million mates here. Like my queen is never able to move because I'm guarding that square. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna go down. I feel like that's just death. I need my rooks to be active. So I go king up to d3, and after the move knight takes e3, what he's threatening checkmate at 1. Queen there. So, well, if he's threatening checkmate at 1, we're going to stop. Rook to c1, 58 seconds on the clock. Knight to g3, I take the knight because he's attacking my queen, and if I don't take, then I will lose. Queen takes g3, opening up for discovery on my king. And I think for a little bit, but I ended up playing the move rook h to g1, simply going after the queen. And I saw the move that he was going to play, and I in fact realized exactly what was going to be done. Knight to g2, I played king to c2 in 1 second. Of course, knight to g2 stopping the attack over here, but I thought this was a very, very good idea for me if my opponent went for this, because now, at the end of this line, my opponent isn't able to really get any meaningful checks. Queen here is probably bad, because now, where is the advantage? The advantage is in this pawn, I guess, but now it's looking a lot more equal, and I might be able to get something done here. In fact, everything is a draw besides the move f3. It's a little bit, oh yeah, of course it's a draw, because, yeah, but either way, I thought this was probably a decent try, so we can't do that, and he plays the best move, f3. I'm losing, nothing I can do, f3 on the board. Oh man, I gotta resign here, but if we're checking the clocks now, I'm down 15 seconds. I've really been managing my time properly from that 4-minute time disadvantage earlier. 15 seconds is a small amount of time. I'm able to do stuff with that. 15 seconds is pretty good. I play rook c2 f1 because of course it's the best move. Now this move would result in rook takes g2 and I would be winning the game, so we can't do that. So rook to f6 is on the board, I guess, trying to stop some queen checks. And at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, if we're really doing this properly, I'm just gonna say, I'm just gonna give him some checks, give him something to think about. I give him a check, he goes here, I give him another check, he blocks with the queen. But now after queen takes g6, I'm losing. I'm completely lost. But now this is trickier. Because I'm gonna be winning my pawn back. King takes g6. Actually, I'm down 3 pawns here. I have the exchange, but I'm down 3 pawns. king takes g6. I could play rook takes f3, rook takes f3, and rook takes knight here if I wanted. But is that really in the spirit of what I'm doing? Do I want to lose the game? I don't really want to lose the game. Those two passed pawns seem very, very strong. Let's go rook f2. Let's see what happens. Well, something happens here. King to g5. And now, this is pretty much a draw. Takes, 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 and king to h4, and I've equalized. King to g5 was a terrible move because you're getting your king up in the way, and now I'm able to win this pawn in the back. So at the end of the day, after king to h4, rook takes g7, this is a draw because there's nothing he can do. This pawn is not strong enough to promote on its own because the rook is always going to be taking away the king's area of escape. For example, if you go rook to f5, white is already better after rook takes c7. h5, rook takes a7. You think that you can like get something here, but rook to g7, rook to g5, I win the game because in fact the king is in the square. And I'm up like a million pawns. The game, it's crazy. It's crazy out here. Rook takes g7. White is almost winning. And after h5, rook takes c7, king to g3. I have a little bit of a slip up. What I can actually do here is I can take this pawn, but I didn't think that this was fast enough. I thought maybe rook f4. And after rook to g7, rook to g4, I didn't think I could take. But I can. Ooh. Oh, I didn't think I could take. For some reason, I thought king takes g4 is winning. But after king to d3, king to f3, I have c5. And my pawn is faster. All right, I didn't see that. But maybe I would have found it. Maybe not. I don't know. That's a little bit trickier. Rook takes c7, king to g3. I decided instead, okay, I'm not going to take the pawn. I'm not going to get too greedy. I'm going to go for the draw. I play rook to g7 check. My opponent goes rook to king to f3. Now I play king to d3, not allowing his king to come into the game. And at any moment, I'm going to be able to force his king back over to the pawn. h4, and I blunder. I blunder completely here. In fact, this is a very difficult position to play if you know what everything is going on. If you have minutes on the clock, this is a very difficult position to play. The only move here is rook takes a7, which seems just insane. The point is, after this move, rook h7, king to g3. Well, I would have the same thing. So, sorry, what is it? There is some line here. Rook to h6 is the scary line. Rook f7, king g2, rook g7, king f1, rook f7, king here, rook b7 here, rook takes b6 here, rook to b1 check here, rook to h1 here, rook takes h2, king takes h2, and this is a draw, but it's only a draw if I do it properly, and it's very hard to actually draw this position. Well, it's not very hard, but this is kind of difficult to see that you have to sack the rook and for all these pawns. Instead I just go rook h7 because I'm a normal person, and yeah, I'm completely lost after rook f4. Didn't see it. My opponent didn't see it either. He had 10 seconds on the clock. He is forgiven. King to g3. I just keep giving checks. I go king to e2. I start going rook to g5, rook to g6. I play a4 here. These pawns are about to be lost, and actually it is very, very close to being a win for the white side. Rook to e4, king to f3, and I actually managed to win the game on time, yes, but winning the game from, where is it? This position is a little bit, it's a little bit rough. It's a little bit rough seeing everything coming at me. And even here, where's the highest advantage? This position. This position is the highest advantage for black. This I won from this. Not on the board, yes, but still win. Still win. And time is part of the game. So that's all I've got for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Always found this entertaining, instructive, all the above. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, do all the notifications YouTubers tell you to do. And yeah, that's it. Good evening and good night.